السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الذين جاءوا بالإفك عصبة منكم لا تحسبوه شرا لكم بل هو خير لكم لكل امرئ منهم ما اكتسب من الإثم والذي تولى كبره منهم له عذاب عظيم. لولا إذ سمعتموه ظن المؤمنون والمؤمنات بأنفسهم خيرا وقالوا هذا إفك مبين لولا جاءوا عليه بأربعة شهداء فإذ لم يأتوا بالشهداء فأولئك عند الله هم الكاذبون. ولولا فضل الله عليكم ورحمته في الدنيا والآخرة لمسكم فيما أفضتم فيه عذاب عظيم إذ تلقونه بألسنتكم وتقولون بأفواهكم ما ليس لكم به علم وتحسبونه هينا وهو عند الله عظيم. ولولا إذ سمعتموه قلتم ما يكون لنا أن نتكلم بهذا سبحانك هذا بهتان عظيم يعظكم الله أن تعودوا لمثله أبدا إن كنتم مؤمنين ويبين الله لكم الآيات والله عليم حكيم. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala first discussed the consequences and the penalty of a person who accuses a strange woman with zina. Then Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala explained to us if a person accuses his own wife with zina, what is the Shari'i ruling which we refer to as li'an. Now Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, relevant to the occasion, mentions an episode which transpired in the time of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, where the greatest woman was accused with this act of zina. And that is none other than the daughter of Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, the wife of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the mother of the entire ummah, wa azwajuhu ummahatuhum, Aisha Siddiqa radiyallahu ta'ala anha. Indeed, this is a very sad incident, and it is referred to in the books of hadith as the qissa ifk. Ifk means the fabrication of a lie. This was the greatest lie that could be fabricated, and that is where someone accuses a munafiq, the leader of the munafiqeen, Abdullah ibn Ubay bin Salul, Ra'isul Munafiqeen, fabricates such a great lie that he accuses the wife of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and after all, from all the wives, Hazrat Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha, who was most beloved to Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, with the act of zina. Let us have a look at what Hazrat Aisha radiyallahu anha herself says in the words of Muslim Sharif, narrating this incident, this great test that came on Hazrat Aisha radiyallahu anha, came on Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Hazrat Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Can we imagine this period of time that people are passing rumors that na'uzu billah Hazrat Aisha radiyallahu anha had an unlawful relation with an innocent sahabi by the name of Safwan bin Mu'attal radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Hazrat Aisha radiyallahu anha says, I went with Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam in one campaign, Ghazwa Bani al-Mustaliq, and this happened on the 6th year of Hijri. And she says, after we had completed and we were returning back to Medina, وَدَنَوْنَا مِنَ الْمَدِينَةِ, we were close to Medina, آذَنَ لَيْلَةً بِالرَّحِيلِ, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam had given the hukam that now we will start safar and we will move. So as the caravan started moving, and I was also traveling, the practice was that Hazrat Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha used to sit down in her hodaj, and then the person responsible used to lift this hoda and used to place it on the top of the camel. So it was, and this was after the revelation of hijab and parda. So this hoda was covered from every corner with parda and veil. Hazrat Aisha radiyallahu anha was a young girl, so she wasn't heavy. She didn't really have any weight. She used to sit inside. The person responsible used to come, lift the hoda, place it on the camel, and then this amanat was given to this person, and then of course he used to hold the bridle of the camel, and he used to take this camel with the balance of the caravan. So Aisha radiyallahu anha says the caravan stopped at a certain point, and I had the call of nature. I wanted to relieve myself. So I went, فَلَمَّا قَضَيْتُ مِنْ شَأْنِي, when I relieved myself and I was completed with my necessity, أَقْبَلْتُ إِلَى الرَّحْلِ, I started returning back to the caravan. And فَلَمَسْتُ صَدْرِي, I felt my chest, and I found فَإِذَا إِقْدِي, my necklace was broken and was missing. Now naturally a woman, for her jewelry means everything. أَوَمَنْ يُنَشَّأُ فِي الْحِلْيَةِ, which Almighty Allah discusses in the Quran. Jewelry is the beauty of a woman. So as Aisha radiyallahu anha says, فَلَمَسْتُ عِقْدِي, I started searching for my necklace. فَحَبَسَنِي إِبْتِغَاؤُهُ, in looking for my necklace, I didn't realize time was passing by, and my hoda was lifted, and it was placed onto the camel, and the caravan started moving, not realizing that Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's wife, Hazrat Aisha radiyallahu anha, is not with the campaign, is not with the caravan. So Hazrat Aisha radiyallahu anha says, after I found it, I came back to the point where I had left the caravan, but to my utter surprise, when I came there, وَأَقْبَلَ الرَّهْتُ الَّذِينَ كَانُوا يَرْحَلُونَ لِي, they continued and they did not wait for me, thinking that I was perhaps in the hoda. And then she gives the answer. She says, perhaps the thought, someone might think that how could they place the hoda on top of the camel when they would have realized that it is so light, that means that Aisha radiallahu anha is not inside. So she says, no. وَكَانَتِ النَّاسُ إِذَّاكَ خِفَافًا. Those days the women were very light, and Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha was a child basically. They used to eat very simple food, so they did not realize that there was no one inside. Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha says, فَبَيْنَمَا أَنَا جَالِسَةٌ فِي مَنْزِلِ. I came to the place where I had left the caravan, and I decided to myself, I came to such a place. In the words of Muslim, she says, لَيْسَ فِيهَا دَاعٍ وَلَا مُجِيبٌ. There was absolutely no soul there. Can we imagine for a young girl stranded, the caravan had left, and there is absolutely no one near her. Now she thought to herself, she says that if I am going to search for them, if I go in the east direction, perhaps they're in the west, and if I go in the north, perhaps they're in the south. So she decided to herself, فَتَيَمَّمْتُ مَنْزِلِي الَّذِي كُنْتُ فِيهِ. وَظَنَنْتُ, look at her intelligence at that young age of hers also. أَنَّ الْقَوْمَ سَيَفْقِدُونَنِي فَيَرْجِعُونَ إِلَيَّ. She says, I know when the caravan will continue, after a period of time they will realize that I'm not in the hoda, and they are going to return, and they are going to search for me firstly at the point where they left me. So it will be most advisable for me to station myself here and to make sabr and to remain seated here. When they come and they will find me here, then I will join them and I will return back to Medina Munawwara. Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha says, it was night time, فَغَلَبَتْنِي عَيْنَايَ. Sleep overpowered me and I fell off to sleep. Hazrat Safwan bin Mu'attal radiallahu ta'ala anhu was given this responsibility by Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He used to come at the end of the caravan and he used to see if anyone was left behind or any goods or any belongings of anyone was left behind. He used to pick it up and then he used to bring it to Medina Munawwara. So that Safwan radiallahu anhu, as usual, following at the back of the caravan, seeing that if any goods or belongings were left behind or any person perchance was left behind, he was coming also. فَرَآ سَوَادَ إِنسَانٍ. From a distance, Hazrat Safwan radiallahu anhu seen the shape and the body of someone. And as he came close, فَعَرَفَنِي حِينَ رَآنِي. When he seen me, Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha says, he recognized me immediately. Now immediately she answers the question, how did he recognize me? Whereas the order of parda was already revealed. وَقَدْ كَانَ يَرَانِي قَبْلَ أَنْ يُضْرَبَ الْحِجَابُ عَلَيَّ. She says that Hazrat Safwan radiallahu anhu had seen me prior to the revelation of hijab and veil. So he had recognized me and he knew how I look. So when he seen me, immediately he made me out. And what did he say? Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Allahu Akbar. These were the only words that he said. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Then the wife of the Nabi of Allah, Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha, being a woman stranded here in the jungle, there is no one near her. Now you and I would perhaps think that this is an occasion, it's a valid excuse, and it would be correct for me to speak to this person, and it would be correct for me perhaps not to keep my parda on, because Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha is in such a predicament and such a situation. But let us see the awareness of the orders of Allah that the wives of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and the Sahaba had on every occasion. She says immediately, when he recited Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, fastayqadtu bistirja'ihi, by him reading Inna lillah, I got up immediately. فَخَمَّرْتُ وَجْهِي بِجِلْبَابِ, without looking right, without looking left, without questioning who it is, without asking him a word. I only heard the words of a male. Immediately I took my scarf and I covered my face completely. Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah, let us ponder, my mothers and sisters. What excuse of ours can be valid today when Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha is stranded, and after all it is the wife of the Nabi of Allah. It is the golden era of Nabuwwat. It is the Sahabi of Allah. Many a times the thought crosses our mind that no, I have no evil intentions. Hasha wa kallah, how can there ever be evil intentions here? But what does Hazrat Aisha say? I did not question who this person is. I heard his voice and I heard the sound of a strange person, of a male. Immediately, فَخَمَّرْتُ وَجْهِي بِجِلْبَابِ, I took my scarf and I covered my face immediately. And now look at the piety of Hazrat Safwan radiallahu ta'ala anhu. وَوَاللَّهِ مَا يُكَلِّمُنِي كَلِمَةً. Allah's qasam, Safwan did not utter one word to me. وَلَا سَمِعْتُ مِنْهُ كَلِمَةً. And I did not hear him telling me anything other than Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Look at his intelligence. We think that many a times if we cannot speak to females or we cannot speak to the opposite party, then it will become an obstacle for our progress. Here, Hazrat Safwan radiallahu anhu teaches us without uttering a word, whatever was to be done in great wisdom and intelligence, he shows it to us without uttering one word and speaking to Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha. He makes the intizam and the arrangements for Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha to get back to Medina Munawwara. What does he do? Ana kharahilatahu. he seats his camel before Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha, and he stands in front of the camel. Subhanallah. This was the piety of Sahaba Ikram ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhim ajma'in. One woman in the time of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, she lost her son. So she came out, Khalla, to ask Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and she was muntaqibatun, she had a parda over her face. So someone told her, you have lost your son and you are coming to inquire, has your son been martyred or not, or what is the condition, and you come in the state of veil. In other words, in this condition, when you have lost your son, when a person has absolutely no control over himself, or she has no control over herself, how can you come out in the state of parda at this moment? She says, I have lost my son, I have not lost my modesty. I have lost my son, why must I lose my sharam and my haya? Why must I disobey my Allah? My haya is still with me. Yes, I have lost my son and I am experiencing sorrow and grief and remorse, but I will not lose my haya. So Hazrat Safwan radiallahu ta'ala anhu places the camel, seats the camel before Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha. Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha says, I mounted onto the camel, and he held the bridle of the camel, and we proceeded towards Medina Munawwara. And we arrived to Medina Munawwara about Dhuhr time. فَقَدِمْنَا الْمَدِينَةِ Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha says, when we came to Medina, I noticed that Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam's approach with me was different. Now people started passing the rumor as they came into Medina. Abdullah bin Ubay bin Salul, he took advantage of the opportunity, and it was the practice of the enemies of Islam to inconvenience Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam in every possible way. When the verses Tabbat Yada were revealed regarding the destruction of Abu Lahab, the wife of Abu Lahab, she started saying, Mudammamun asayna, amrahu abayna, deenahu qalayna. Mudammamun, she said in exchange of Muhammad, meaning the praised one. She said Mudammamun, the criticized one, the disgraced one. Mudammamun asayna, we disobey him. Amrahu abayna, his message we deny. Deenahu qalayna, and his religion we hate. And then she came in Masjid Nabawi with stones in her hand, and she wanted to throw the stones at Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Hazrat Abu Bakr said, oh Nabi of Allah, she is coming towards you. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, Innaha lan tarani. Oh Abu Bakr, don't fear, she can never see me. Allah Ta'ala has put a veil over her and she will not be able to see me. So Abdullah bin Ubay bin Salul took the advantage of hurting the heart of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and he started going around to the people and passing the rumor. You know what? Na'udhu billah, Aisha radiallahu anha and Safwan bin Mu'attal are having unlawful relations, and there they came together. Naturally they stayed behind. Na'udhu billah, whatever he wanted to say, poison in the hearts and the minds of the people. Hazrat Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha knew nothing about the matter. And it so happened, in the process, the person that was the instigator of this fitna was a munafiq, but few innocent, genuine Sahaba fell target to this claim and this accusation against Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha, who were namely Hassan bin Thabit radiallahu anhu, who is known as Sha'iru Rasulillah, the poet of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Hazrat Mistah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, who is from amongst the participants of Badr, and Hazrat Himna bint Jahash radiallahu ta'ala anha. Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha says, I did not know anything, but all I noticed, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam's approach with me was very different. He used to come to the house and he used to ask me, Kayfatikum ya Aisha? How are you feeling, O Aisha? And that's all, nothing more. He wouldn't speak to me and he wouldn't ask me of anything. And I noticed that lutf, the words of Muslim is that she says, لا أعرف من رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم اللطف الذي كنت أرى منه حين أشتكي. Whenever I used to feel sick and I used to complain to Nabi صلى الله عليه وسلم, then the love and the muhabbat he used to give me, on this occasion he did not express that love. Now she was completely in the dark and she did not realize this was the rumor that was being passed against her in Medina Munawwara, which was instigated by the leader of the Munafiqeen, Abdullah bin Ubay bin Salul, Ra'isul Munafiqeen. She says one day, it was in the night that I wanted to go to toilet, so I took the mother of Mistah radiallahu anhu with me. Mistah was amongst those Sahaba who also fell in this accusation against Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha. And she says, I went to relieve myself, and after relieving myself, as we were returning, فَعَثَرَتْ Mistah, the mother of Mistah radiallahu anhu, her leg slipped and she fell. So immediately she said, Ta'isa Mistah, woe be to my son Mistah, destruction be to my son Mistah. So Aisha radiallahu anha said, I told her, O Mistah, you have slept and you are fallen. Why are you cursing your son Mistah? He has participated in Badr, and Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, لَعَلَّ اللَّهَ اطَّلَعَ عَلَىٰ أَهْلِ بَدْرٍ فَقَالَ اعْمَلُوا مَا شِئْتُمْ فَقَدْ غَفَرْتُ لَكُمْ. That Allah Ta'ala has accepted the participants of Badr so much that Allah Ta'ala has pardoned their sins just on their participating in Badr. So why are you speaking bad about your son? So Mistah radiallahu anhu's mother told me, Ya hanta are poiri tani kai hamat chekeni. Oh Aisha, do you know what my son is saying about you? So she said, no, I don't know what is he saying. What do you mean, oh the mother of Mistah? She says that the people are passing a rumor that na'uzu billah, you and Hazrat Safwan radiallahu anhu had an illegal and unlawful relation. And unfortunately my son Mista is also amongst those people that are of this opinion or who have to a certain extent approved this accusation against you. Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha said, now everything fell into proportion. Now I understood why Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was speaking to me in that different tone. Now I had realized that I had noticed many things that were unusual, but I just couldn't understand that why this was happening. Now when she told me what the reality of the matter was, I understood exactly what was happening behind my back. فَلَمَّا رَجَعْتُ إِلَى بَيْتِي, when I returned home, دَخَلَ عَلَيَّ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ, Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam came to me, فَسَلَّمَ, he greeted me, ثُمَّ قَالَ كَيْفَ تِيكُمْ, he asked me, how are you, Ya Aisha? So I told him, O Nabi of Allah, give me permission, I want to go and visit my parents. And I want to go and investigate the matter. Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, no problem, you can go to your parents. I came home and I told my mother, Ya ummata, ma yatahaddathan nasu. Ma yatahaddathun nasu. Oh my mother, what are the people speaking? A young girl, can we imagine this test of Allah that is coming? If someone has to accuse my daughter, what will happen? What will happen to my daughter herself? What will happen to me? What will happen to the husband? Can we imagine this is the daughter of Abu Bakr, the wife of the Nabi of Almighty Allah? What a test came. Of course, everything was happening in the plan of Almighty Allah. So I asked my mother, oh my mother, what are the people saying regarding me? I don't know, I only came to know about it now. And that is also the mother of Mistah radiallahu anhu has informed me. So my mother told me, after all, the mother is worried. And the mother at every given moment, the son can be wrong or the son can be right. After all, ye to maro dikro che. Dikra ave keni tarti bhulte ge, ave tu maaf mangi le and mamlo patavi le. Ask them maaf and overlook the thing. Don't fight, don't argue. Imagine the mother of Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha, she says, Hawwini alayki, oh my daughter, oh my Betty, take it easy. Don't get so tense, don't cry so much, take it easy. For wallahi, she mentioned a ajib statement, the mother of Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha, لَقَلَّمَا كَانَتْ إِمْرَأَةٌ قَدْتُ وَضِيئَةً عِنْدَ رَجُلٍ يُحِبُّهَا وَلَهَا ضَرَائِرْ إِلَّا كَثَّرْنَ عَلَيْهَا. Oh my daughter, for a person of your caliber and your nature, naturally you are going to have people that are going to have enmity against you, because you are the wife of Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is very fond of you. So things of this nature is going to happen with you. People are going to have jealousy, and they are going to have all types of plans to accuse you and to oppose you and to cause inconvenience and difficulty to you. Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha says, فَبَكَيْتُ تِلْكَ اللَّيْلَ حَتَّى أَصْبَحْتُ. Allah's qasam, I didn't sleep for 1 second. Whole night I cried continuously. وَلَا أَكْتَحِلُ بِنَوْمٍ. I just couldn't fall off to sleep. I said, Ya Allah, what are the people saying regarding me? Now, on the other hand, Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam, 1 month has passed like this. Jibreel Amin does not descend with any revelation confirming the innocence of Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha. The rumor is carrying on, as we will discuss in the words of the Quran, what Allah Ta'ala mentions. إِذْ تَلَقَّوْنَهُ بِأَلْسِنَتِكُمْ. People were passing the message from one to another. It had become the topic of discussion. Can we imagine Abu Bakr and Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam? How can they see one another? Can we imagine Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha? Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam called Hazrat Ali radiyallahu anhu, Hazrat Osama bin Zayd radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, and he made mashwara with them, what should he do regarding this matter that has happened. So Hazrat Osama radiyallahu anhu said, O Nabi of Allah, this is your wife, and Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala will not choose any ordinary woman for you. I think you should deny this rumor that people are passing without waiting for any confirmation from revelation, and accept it that your wife is innocent, and Ya Rasulallahum ahluk, wala na'lamu illa khaira. She is your wife and we only know good regarding your household. Hazrat Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu gave a different opinion. He said, O Nabi of Allah, of course we also hold the same opinion regarding Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha, but if you feel that you are being discomforted and you are not feeling at ease and you want to perform nikah with someone else, then Allah Ta'ala has given you ijazat. You can perform nikah. Allah Ta'ala has given you the ijazat and the permission. قَدْ أَحْلَلْنَا لَكَ أَزْوَاجَكَ اللَّاتِي آتَيْتَ أُجُورَهُنَّ وَمَا مَلَكَتْ يَمِينُكَ. Then Hazrat Ali radiallahu anhu said, O Nabi of Allah, let's ask Barira, who was the slave of Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha. She will know better regarding Hazrat Aisha. So she also spoke very good regarding Hazrat Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha says, in this manner I kept on crying and crying. One day Hazrat Abu Ayyub Ansari radiallahu ta'ala anhu, in this period of time, this 1 month, Hazrat Abu Ayyub Ansari radiallahu anhu's wife comes home and she says, Oh Abu Ayyub, do you know what the people are saying regarding Hazrat Aisha? He says, what are they saying? She says, they are passing the evil act, the rumor of zina. Hazrat Abu Ayyub Ansari radiallahu anhu said, it can never happen and I will not investigate the matter. I can put my head on the block, Allah's qasam, this will never happen. Then he asked his wife, tell me, will you do something like this? So she says, no. So then he told his wife, you being the wife of Abu Ayyub, you won't do it. Tell me, Aisha being the wife of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, will she do it? Will Allah choose any ordinary woman for his wife? Will Allah choose any ordinary woman to be the wife of the Nabi of Almighty Allah? Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha says, I continued crying and crying. And my parents got so worried. In the words of Muslim it comes, وَأَبَوَايَ يَظُنَّانِ أَنَّ الْبُكَاءَ فَالِقٌ كَبَدِ. My parents thought, I to rari rani ne pati jahe. How much are you going to cry? You will keep on crying. But we must appreciate the predicament of Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha. She says, I was in this condition and I was crying. Suddenly, one woman comes to me and she takes ijazat and she comes in the house. And just then Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam comes to me. And this was the first occasion that Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam came to me and sat next to me and discussed this matter with me, since the rumor had commenced that he is now after the passing of 1 month. وَقَدْ لَبِثَ شَهْرًا لَا يُوحَى إِلَيْهِ فِي شَأْنِي بِشَيْءٍ. 1 month had passed, no revelation had come on Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam confirming my innocence. She says, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam came to me and she said, Oh Aisha, in kunti bari'atan, if you are innocent, then Allah will prove your innocence. Wa in kunti almamti bidhanbin, and if perchance you have committed any wrong, fastaghfirillaha wa tubi ilay, then repent to Almighty Allah. Fa innal abda idha atarafa bidhanbin, because when a servant repents to Allah, then Allah is ready to pardon the servant. So Allah, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did not criticize her. And he did not mention anything. In fact, in one word, in one riwayat of Bukhari, it comes, I read, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam himself said, Ma alimtu ala ahli illa khayra. I only know good regarding Hazrat Aisha. But of course, wahi did not come confirming what Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha, the innocence of Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha. After Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentioned this to Hazrat Aisha says, I told my father, you stand up, ajib, and answer on my behalf, and you tell the Nabi of Allah that I am innocent. So Aisha radiallahu anha said, my father made some excuse and he said, Ma adri ma aqulu li Rasulillah, oh my daughter, as much as I love you, but I don't know what to tell the Nabi of Allah. So I told my mother, ajibi anni, oh my mother, you love me and I love you, you tell the Nabi of Allah that I am innocent. My mother also made an excuse and she says, as much as I love you, I don't know what I must tell the Nabi of Allah. Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha said, you can imagine, وَأَنَا جَارِيَةٌ حَدِيثَةُ السِّنِّ, I was a young small girl. They were respectable people. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, my father, my mother, no one wants to speak. People are harboring evil thoughts against me. People are of the opinion that perhaps I had this ta'alluq with this Sahabi Hazrat Safwan radiallahu anhu. Finally I had to take courage and I had to speak. She takes courage and she speaks with such words of wisdom and she says, لَقَدْ عَرَفْتُ أَنَّكُمْ قَدْ سَمِعْتُمْ هَذَا. I know very well you people have been listening to this rumor against me. حَتَّى اسْتَقَرَّ فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ. And you have heard it so repeatedly that it has to a certain extent penetrated in the depth of your heart. And I think you people are approving of what has happened. وَصَدَّقْتُمْ بِهِ. And you have accepted it. وَلَئِنْ قُلْتُ لَكُمْ أَنِّي بَرِيئَةٌ. And if I must tell you Allah's qasam, I am innocent. وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ أَنِّي بَرِيئَةٌ. And Allah's qasam, Allah knows I am innocent. لَا تُصَدِّقُونِي بِذَلِكَ. You won't accept my verdict and you will say that I'm just trying to defend myself. وَلَئِنِ اعْتَرَفْتُ لَكُمْ بِأَمْرٍ. And if I must say I'm guilty just to please you, وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ أَنِّي بَرِيئَةٌ. And Allah knows I'm innocent, I'll be speaking a lie if I say I am guilty. لَتُصَدِّقُونِي. You will accept me. Then she says, إِنِّي وَاللَّهِ مَا أَجِدُ لِي وَلَكُمْ مَثَلًا إِلَّا كَمَا قَالَ أَبُو يُوسُف. Allah's qasam, O the Nabi of Allah, and O my father and O my mother and all the people of Medina, I don't know what to tell you other than what the father of Yusuf alayhi salam, that is Yaqub alayhi salam, told his children when they came with the sad story that, oh our father, the wolf had devoured your son Yusuf alayhi salatu was salam. What did he tell his children at that time? I will tell you, O my Nabi, and I will tell you, O my parents, فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ وَاللَّهُ الْمُسْتَعَانُ عَلَى مَا تَصِفُونَ. فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ وَاللَّهُ الْمُسْتَعَانُ عَلَى مَا تَصِفُونَ. I will exercise patience and Allah knows best, and I will turn to Almighty Allah to help me in this situation. She says, I said that and I went away, like we say, ek kona ma bichari jaine ralti tege. She says, I went away from there. Whatever I could cry, I cried out. My tears were dry and I sat there and I said, I knew in the bottom of my heart that Allah Ta'ala is going to confirm to His Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam my innocence. She says, I had hardly moved. The majlis had not yet terminated. Those that were present were still present when they seen the condition of wahi on Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha says, I thought that Allah Ta'ala will reveal my innocence in the form of a dream. Allah will reveal it to His Nabi in a dream and explain to him that your wife is innocent. But it was when I realized what Allah Ta'ala and how Allah Ta'ala had rewarded me for my patience. It was a few minutes and Nabi Karim Sallallahu called me and said, Abshiri ya Aisha, Mubarak O Aisha, Allah Ta'ala has confirmed your innocence. And these verses that I have just recited before you, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala in 10 verses of the Quran announces, publicizes, highlights, explains in great detail the innocence of Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu's wife, that is the mother of Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha, told her, "Oh Aisha, Qumi, stand up and now go and thank Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam." So Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha said, "No, I am going to thank Almighty Allah. Wala ahmadu illa Allah, huwa alladhi anzala bara'ati." It is Almighty Allah that has announced my innocence. With reference to Tafsir Qurtubi, Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha used to boast, and she used to say, when Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam was accused with the act of zina, then Allah Ta'ala made one child speak and confirm his innocence. وَشَهِدَ شَاهِدٌ مِّنْ أَهْلِهَا إِنْ كَانَ قَمِيصُهُ قُدَّ مِنْ قُبُلٍ فَصَدَقَتْ وَهُوَ مِنَ الْكَاذِبِينَ وَإِنْ كَانَ قَمِيصُهُ قُدَّ مِنْ دُبُرٍ فَكَذَبَتْ وَهُوَ مِنَ الصَّادِقِينَ. And when Maryam alayhi salatu wassalam was accused with the act of zina, Ya ukhta Haruna ma kana abuki imra'a saw'in wa ma kanat ummuki baghiya, then Almighty Allah made her son Isa alayhi salatu wassalam prove the innocence of his mother. But as Aisha radiallahu anha says, when I was accused with zina, then Allah Ta'ala did not make the Nabi of Allah Ta'ala did not make his Nabi prove my innocence. Almighty Allah himself in the form of Quran, not in indication or in 1-2 verses, but in great detail, in close to 2 ruku, there's Mufti Shafi Sahib rahmatullah alayhi writes, in 10 verses of the Quran, Allah highlights the innocence of Hazrat Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. This is exactly what Almighty Allah mentions. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ جَاءُوا بِالْإِفْكِ عُصْبَةٌ مِّنْكُمْ لَا تَحْسَبُوهُ شَرًّا لَكُمْ. Verily those people who brought forth the slander and the accusation against Hazrat Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, عُصْبَةٌ مِّنْكُمْ, a group from amongst you. The term group from amongst you is used because Abdullah bin Ubay bin Salul, although he was not from amongst the believers, but he claimed to be that he was from amongst the believers and people took him as a Muslim. لَا تَحْسَبُوهُ شَرًّا لَكُمْ. Almighty Allah mentions, do not regard it bad for yourself. Of course, for the believers, for Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, for the parents of Hazrat Aisha, it was very difficult. It was a very bitter pill to swallow, this accusation and this uneasiness and this restlessness that carried on for 1 month, and only after 1 month was her innocence revealed. So they were really perturbed and disturbed. Allah Ta'ala says, لَا تَحْسَبُوهُ شَرًّا لَكُمْ. Do not regard it bad for you. بَلْ هُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. Allah Ta'ala has kept good hidden in this incident, and that is Almighty Allah is going to explain the piety and the innocence of Hazrat Aisha. Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha says, I did not regard myself so great in the eyes of Allah that Allah will reveal my innocence in the form of Quran, that these verses, the tilawat of these verses will be made, and it will remain in the Quran till the day of Qiyamah. I got a shock, and when I seen this confirmation of my innocence in the form of Quran, I stood up and I started crying with joy and with happiness in the state of ecstasy that Allah Ta'ala has discussed my innocence in so much length and detail. Then Almighty Allah mentions, لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مِّنْهُمْ مَكْتَسَبَ مِنَ الْإِثْمِ. For every one of them will earn the sin according to how much he accused or what part he played in this accusation of Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha. One was Abdullah bin Ubay bin Salul, who was the instigator. Then there were certain Sahaba who approved of it. There were certain Sahaba who perhaps did not approve of it but did not deny it, which was also incorrect, as Allah Ta'ala mentions. It is the shan of a believer that when the wife of the Nabi is being accused, without investigating, you must deny it. You shouldn't even remain silent at that time, because to a certain extent silence will indicate approval. So Allah Ta'ala says, لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مِّنْهُمْ مَكْتَسَبَ مِنَ الْإِثْمِ. According to how much they promoted of this lie, according to that they will receive the sin. We stop here and we see what does Almighty Allah mention. We make dua to the Almighty Allah. He protect our tongue from accusing anyone of zina, and may Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala protect us of this act of zina, and Allah protect our tongues of accusing anyone of this act of zina. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen.